Welcome, everybody, at another episode of the Wrestling vs. the World podcast. Feeling during your day, sweet. If not, then what the hell ever. How was y'all 4th of July? If you want to tell me, go ahead and do it in the comments. But there was one episode I kept thinking about doing for a while because of the subject matter, and it is remembering the Lord Tensai character that utterly flopped in WWE. And yes, I'm talking about the former A-Train, Albert, Prince Albert, however many other wrestling names he's gone through. Because 2012, they finally start airing these vignettes. They're kind of mysterious a little bit, saying, hey, we got this Japanese-style character a little bit coming up to come back to Raw, and it's Tensai. It's Lord Tensai. They'll somewhat show a bit of him. And he comes out. He's got the whole gear on and everything, looking like he's a Japanese character. He's got Sakamoto, the guy who's supposed to be his manager, and throwing salt into the sky and everything, and bowing and everything. And as soon as he unmasked, it's just A-Train with some paint on him, like with Japanese characters on his body. So, like, it's essentially Albert with some writing and a shaved back, I think. I believe he shaved his back by this point. So, they try going strong with this character because April 2nd, 2012 Raw, he defeats Alex Riley, referee stops match after about 3 minutes. The next week, he beats Yoshitatsu in less than 2 minutes. And the week after that, April 16, 2012, probably one of the biggest wins he can have in this run, he defeats John Cena in an Extreme Rules match, because this is when he was going with the combo of Green Mist into his hand, and then just the Iron Claw right to his head as a combo. And I thought that was actually pretty smart to do. Like, I know Asuka would kind of do a bit of an iteration of that herself when she beat Bianca Belair for whatever women's title it was back in the day. But then things fell off a little bit, because, like, yeah, the next week he would beat R-Truth in 2 minutes. But then a couple weeks later, he himself and Daniel Bryan defeat CM Punk in a handicap match. And I remember this was during that match, like, I just looked back on this, they didn't even give Lord Tensai an entrance. It happened during the commercial break, as it's just supposed to be Lord Tensai versus Punk, but then Daniel Bryan's added. But then, unfortunately, that everything falls off the road, because it says his next match was the following week on an episode of Superstars where he's now just known as Tensai. So the Lord part has been stricken from his name, but he defeats Tyson Kidd. But then the following week, the May 21st, 2012 episode of Raw, there's a 3-on-2 handicap lumberjack match. Cena and Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, and Tensai. And yes, he's known as Tensai here because it says on the match graphic. The ring announcer calls him just by Tensai, and they actually change the graphics there on his Titantron, where it just says Tensai. No more Lord that's said right above there in the graphic like you would see before. Just Tensai now, and he doesn't even have the get-up now during his entrance for the presentation. You still have Sakamoto throwing the salt in the air, but now it feels like the company's already lost faith in this project because they're already stripping away this stuff. And maybe it's because, like, the audience wasn't buying into the character. Because, again, like I said, this was just Tensai with a small change with his appearance. Nothing to give this perception that, hey, this is a different character. And I've gone back over this. It's like when you look at Bray Wyatt. Do you look at him and think Husky Harris? No. You gave a completely different look, different presentation to where you forget the past character and you can invest in the fact that this is somebody new. You didn't have to put a mask on him. Didn't have to change his weight, appearance, or anything. But it's just like, they did nothing here. Then you go a couple weeks later. The June 4, 2012 episode of Raw, he loses to Cena in 9 minutes, being his first televised loss now. And this is when they start going through that pattern where he's pissed off and he beats the crap out of Sakamoto. Till eventually Sakamoto's gone. So, like, he's whipping the ass of his manager and everything because he's suddenly, like, just started losing. The next week, he loses to Sheamus. Why? But then, they start completely ignoring the brand split again, and this was, well, I was about to say, had to stop myself, because this is like, they already stopped the brand split, but now he's suddenly starting to appear on SmackDown because he defeats Justin Gabriel after this in less than 3 minutes to qualify for Money in the Bank. Okay, that's something. But then the July 2nd, 2012 episode of Raw hits, he loses in 19 seconds to Tyson Kidd. That should tell you that they completely lost faith in the character already. Because think about this for a second. April 2nd, the character makes his debut. A couple months later, within a month and a half, they dropped the Lord part and the get-up for his presentation during his entrance. 2 months in, he's already losing his undefeated streak. And then the month after that, he loses in a very fast match to Tyson Kidd. And I don't think Tyson Kidd was really doing much during this time, if memory serves me correctly, on the roster. Because, like, I know the Hart Dynasty was done. I know sometimes he was doing stuff with, like, Superstars and, like, maybe NXT, but was Kidd doing anything big during this time? Like, I think maybe during, well, I know Saturday Morning Slam wasn't a thing yet, but still nothing there. After this, he would fail to win the Great American Bash 20-man Battle Royal, which was won by Zack Ryder. Other matches, he lost in the Money in the Bank Money in the Bank ladder match. The only moment you remember was the fact that he threw Dolph Ziggler over the announce table, be like, yeet. Then you look at other matches here. Because he would get himself disqualified in a match against Tyson Kidd. He loses to Sheamus again. He beats Zack Ryder on Superstars. So this was during the time when the company really tried to make you forget that Zack Ryder was relevant. He loses to Sin Cara in a little over a minute in mid-August. Like, you lose to the king of botching! The Botchamania mascot right there! That's the other ones. He defeats Tyson Kidd on an episode of Superstars. And yeah, I'm going through cage match just to try to refresh my memory. Night of Champions, he doesn't even win the pre-show Battle Royal. That was won by Zack Ryder, who later faces Antonio Cesaro for the U.S. title. He loses matches against Randy Orton and everything. He gets beaten by Ryback. I think one of these matches, like, one of them was less than 2 minutes. I think it was the October 1st, 2012 one. That might have been the episode where Ryback struggled to try to hit the shell shock on Tensai and instead had to do the meat hook clothesline to beat him. I know it was like one of those matches where he struggled to do that. He had to be Big Show by disqualification on an episode of SmackDown, which is just weird. Even like, oh god, I'm even looking right here. Early November of 2012, he's losing to Justin Gabriel in less than 7 minutes on Superstars. You beat this guy in a few minutes just a couple of months, or a few months prior to qualify for Money in the Bank, and now you lose to Justin Gabriel by this point, who's not doing anything. Yeah, he'll appear on Saturday Morning Slam like we've already covered and everything like that, but just why this? After this, he loses to R-Truth in 2 minutes on Raw. He fails to win in the tag team elimination match at Survivor Series against Brodus Clay's team. There was another Ryback match added in there. He lost Kofi, who was not quite down in his losing streak, which I've already covered before for 2013. But then about a couple weeks later, he loses to Kofi again, but in a little over a minute. Like, what? Like, this shows how bad things were. Even I'm seeing right here, like, they're saying there was an episode of SmackDown filmed December 18, 2012, which probably had aired like 3 days later, so this probably would have been the 21st. He loses to Santino Marella in 4 minutes. The guy with one of the worst finishing moves ever, boom, beat him. That's weird. Even The Miz after this, as 2013 rolls in, defeats Tensai and Superstars. Who by this point, yeah, The Miz was a babyface and everything, but his character presentation had not changed one iota. Even right, oh my gosh, I'm even seeing here, the January 21st, 2013 episode of Raw, he loses to Alberto Del Rio. Okay. Fails to win the Royal Rumble. He's having matches on Main Event, which is just weird. Like, he defeats Tyson, like, he has a match for 13 minutes against Titus O'Neil. Weird. And then after this, they start to, like, it was, I remember they had the Slammy Awards before this. I almost forgot to bring this up. Santino's presenting one of the Slammy Awards, and then Albert, or A-Train, Tensai, whatever name we're giving him now, he's joined Santino, and he's got that ice pack attached to his head, bandaged around there, which anytime I'm seeing somebody with the bandage wrapped around, like, the top of their head, it's like that scene where somebody gets their wisdom teeth out, and they got that, like, scarf wrapped around the top of their head to kind of, like, keep their head tight together and everything to ease the freaking toothache or whatever. And he gets called Fat Albert. Like, yeah, you're really going to get this character really taken seriously. But then by the time, I think it had to have been around, like, late January, early February, that's when they do the thing here where they were supposed to have a match between Tensai and Brodus Clay on Raw, where it was Raw Roulette. Spin the wheel, make the deal, and they thought they were going to have some kind of, like, I think, lingerie match, but then they changed it after Tensai already left, being like, oh no, it's just a dance-off, and he's dancing lingerie to pretty much put himself now into this comedic role, and now he's going to start fully going with Tensai, or Sweet Tea, teaming with Brodus Clay after this. This just... So yeah, I cannot believe they really gave up on this character so fast. Like, I know the company kind of did it to themselves because, like, they didn't do anything visually, like, after the entrances to give anybody the perception that this was a different character and make them forget that A-Train or Albert was even a thing in the past. Like, they could have given him some kind of weird face paint or something to kind of hide his facial identity to kind of give, like, help suspend the disbelief or belief of that or anything, but it's just like, they were very quick to give up on him. Like I said, within a month and a half, he's no longer got the Lord part in there. They take away his entrance attire. And then 2 months in, he's already losing his undefeated streak. And then he's just losing these random matches to guys who are really low on the totem pole, sometimes very fast matches. It's like, you would think a giant-sized guy, like the shape of A-Train, they would want to take him a little more seriously. Being like, hey, this guy's a big-sized, impending threat that could take on anybody, but they did nothing with him during this, and next you know, oh, he's like, it's the Funkadactyls and Brodus Clay, aka with Tensai, aka Tons of Funk. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, this is just a complete failed run here, and it's just so weird. But just let me know in the comment section below, what did you guys all think about this whole Lord Tensai / Tensai experiment that they did between the time he came back in 2012 up until, like, around the time that they started teaming him with Brodus Clay? Because it's just so perplexing that it's just like, they gave up so fast. Like, it's just like, you invest even in the vignettes, and you invest more time into that than you did in the character once he appeared on TV and started wrestling. So yeah, just let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast, folks, even if it's been all around there a little bit, let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like, comment what you thought below, subscribe with the bell, turn on here on YouTube, and yeah, I'll just catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, folks. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, and good night, everybody.